Thank you for your invitation. I'm talking about nomophobia, anxiety and depression levels in Italian nursing students and the related implications in nursing education. Since in the last decade, with the technology constantly developing, the internet has become an irreplaceable part of our lives. Internet users are continuously increasing. According to the Italian statistical data analyzing that back to 2018, 67.9% of the population aged 60 years and older used the network, with a slight increase compared to year 2018. These data show that the highest percentage in the daily use is attributed to the age groups between 18 and 19 years and 24-25 years. The advantages of the Internet are numerous since it allows individuals to access any type of information and communicate quickly with other people regardless of distance. In fact, the reasons for accessing the Internet are many, and the main activities carried out in Italy are sending or receiving email, participating in social networks, consulting a wiki to get information on any topic, reading newspapers or magazines online, playing or downloading games, pictures, movies, or music. Although it has improved our lives, overuse has led to onset of many issues. People who abuse the Internet have shown a structural change in the brain. In particular, gray matter atrophy has been shown in the left anterior and left posterior cingulate cortex, left insula, and the left lingual gyrus, altered the variability of structural dopamine transporters level, and altered the functional connectivity between amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. These brain deficits promote impairment of psychological well-being, whereby so-called internet junkies can develop depression, anxiety, and stress. There is often a vicious cycle of depression causing internet addiction and nomophobia, and further breeds depression. Other non-specific and therefore subtler manifestations can be represented by alterations in sleep-wake rhythm, chronic fatigue, reduced efficiency of the immune system, alterations in appetite, poor self-care, head change, alterations in vision, appearance of orthopedic problems such as frequent back pain. Thanks to the evaluation of technology, the devices to access the Internet are numerous: computers, smartphones, tablets, e-books, smartwatches, and others. The smartphone is always at the hand thanks to its size. In fact, 91.8% of Italians aged 14 years and older use it to access the Internet, preferring it to any other device. The uncontrolled use of this tool has led to the emergence of nomophobia, literally no mobile phone phobia, or fear of not being able to use the smartphone and the services it offers. It refers to the fear of not being able to communicate, of losing the connection allowed by smartphones, of not being able to access information through smartphones, of giving up the convenience they offer. Despite not being included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders and the 5th edition, it presents clinical features that lead back to a real pathology as anxiety at the thought of losing the phone or not being able to use it because of dead battery or lack of a network carrying multiple devices and a charger. Looking at the phone screen to see if messages or calls have been received, and keeping the phone on all the time and sleeping with the device preferring to communicate using new technologies, and often anxiety can lead to hearing platform rig notes or false starts. Consequences can affect the physical as well as the psychological aspect. In the 2014, the Journal of Computers and Human Behavior published a study conducted among USA college students in which it was shown that smartphone use reduces physical activity, resulting in increased sedentariness, reducing academic performance, and negatively affecting mental health, resulting in the development of anxiety disorder and deficits in personal satisfaction. A study conducted in the 2020 showed that individuals addicted to cell phones may present with the thumb and wrist pain, with increased pressure on the median nerve, and this could lead to the development of carpal tunnel syndrome. The impact of nomophobia and its related consequences have been widely analyzed among medical, dental, and engineering students in Italy. So, the present study wants to detect the levels of nomophobia in a group of Italian nursing students and also to correlate them with possible psychophysical consequences such as anxiety and depression. So, to do that, an observational cross-sectional multi-center study was conducted from April to September 2020 at the nursing degree programs afferent to 3 different Italian university centers. The study was conducted through the electronic dissemination of an online questionnaire, as it was considered an effective and inexpensive method of finding a larger number of participants among the nursing student population. An email was sent to all education coordinators introducing the study and formally requesting participation in the survey. Only after permission to administer the questionnaire was obtained, where students forwarded the link to access the online questionnaire. The questionnaire contained a total of 6 sections, specifically socio-demographic data as gender, age, university of affiliation, year of enrollment, social relationship status. Some questions about computer knowledge and experiences, such as using a spreadsheet, managing a site or blog, the presence of a firewall on the computer, reasons for accessing the internet, experience with the computer, and the social networks used. Then the Nomophobia Questionnaire, and which assessed nomophobia disorder, and then the validated scale of state trait anxiety inventory useful for assessing anxiety. It was consisted into 2 salient parts, as the first part concerned the state anxiety, referring to how anxiety is perceived at the moment, and the second part composed of 20 items that concern the trait anxiety, as representing the constant tendency to face every situation of life with excessive anxiety. Finally, the back depression inventory scale, consisting of 21 items, helped to assess the level of depression in the last 2 weeks, which can be answered ranging a score from 0 to 3. All sections of a questionnaire were computerized, and then responses were coded and entered into a database. So a total of 513 students were enrolled. All the socio-demographic characteristics above mentioned were collected and presented in this table. Then, in this other one table, data represented were relative to the students' level of knowledge of electronic tools. Interestingly, among the reasons for which they access the internet prevails the need to communicate, to always access social networks using Instagram and WhatsApp. Then, by assessing levels of nomophobia, trait in state anxiety, and depression, only 3 students surveyed exhibit severe traits of internet addiction. Then 55 students recorded severe levels of nomophobia, and 15 students reported severe levels of state anxiety, 59 reported severe levels of trait anxiety, and then 30 students reported severe levels of depression. By analyzing the level of nomophobia, state and trait anxiety, and depression according to gender variable, significant differences are recorded in the levels of anxiety, both states and trait, as females recorded significantly higher scores than students in both state anxiety levels and trait levels anxiety too. Finally, in this table, correlations were calculated between the levels of nomophobia, state and trait anxiety, and depression, the internet purposes that the students are reporting to do. So, the aim of this study was to detect and analyze the degree of internet addiction, nomophobia, anxiety, and depression of a population of Italian nursing students. The sample that joined the project by filling out the questionnaire consisted of 530 nursing students, of which 18.7% of whom were female. This data is in line with the study conducted on a population of nursing students enrolled at some Italian university centers, which analyzed an internet addiction correlated with gambling. For students, the use of electronic tools is correlated with the need to communicate with friends and family. This is also confirmed by the fact that 18.1% of students always use WhatsApp, aimed precisely at messaging. However, this last result is not very consistent with the percentage of students who said that always access the internet to use a social network. This may be since WhatsApp by many may not be considered as a social network, although today it's to all insistence and purposes. In addition, the analysis of the data shows that the constant use of Instagram, these findings is consistent with the findings of another study conducted on a population of adolescents of young adults. It was found that a higher number of participants exhibit a moderate level of nomophobia, and 10.7% have severe nomophobia. Greater findings are found in the literature in Turkish nursing students, specifically 58% had moderate and 15.7% had severe. In addition, a large proportion of participants stated that they feel anxious when they cannot stay in touch with their friends and family, particularly feeling worried if they could not contact them. A similar situation occurred in Indian medical students, where 83% of participants expressed that a cell phone is necessary to help them stay connected with their family members. The sample surveyed tends to be moderately nomophobic, an attitude that demonstrates similarity with some Spanish and Portuguese students for whom mean scores respectively. On the other hand, a survey conducted in Italy on a sample of nurses found a lower mean level of nomophobia. In this study, the sample had an average of 39.4, which is significantly higher than in our study, in which we found an average of 22.2. This could confirm that nomophobia prefers young subjects over adults. Moreover, in our study, a gender difference was manifest as females presented a slightly higher degree of nomophobia than males, with mean scores of 67.1 and 65.7 respectively. These results are in line with other research in which it is confirmed that levels of nomophobia are higher in females than in males, but are contradicted by other research that has not found significant differences between the two sexes. With this study, we detected that analyzed the levels of anxiety and depression. To assess anxiety, we used a state scale divided into two sections, which assess state anxiety and trait anxiety respectively. A study conducted in a population of engineering students in Taiwan shows that the smartphone dependence has several aspects similar to drug-related disorders. Specifically, smartphones cause disorders such as compulsive behavior, tolerance, craving, and repeated attempts to quiet. Participants exhibited mild levels of state and anxiety trait, with a mean of 41.1 and 41.9 respectively. Similar levels were found in dental students, with a mean of 40.55 for state anxiety and 41.67 for trait anxiety. These results show a greater presence, albeit minimal, of trait anxiety, meaning that anxiety is a characteristic that belongs to the personality of the participants. So in conclusion, this study aimed to detect and analyze levels of nomophobia, anxiety and depression among Italian nursing students. Analysis of the results showed that these disorders were present in nursing students, and they could also influence the onset of anxiety and depression. In view of the results obtained, it would be important to set up awareness-raising campaigns to make students understand the positive effects and the negative effects of the smartphones of the Internet. In addition, nursing teachers should be well informed and guide students on the importance of the appropriate use of new technologies in clinical contexts, as they could cause distraction and reduce academic performance. It might be appropriate to regulate the use of smartphones and consequently of the Internet during the hours of theoretical training and during the clinical practice. In conclusion, considering the lack of literature of this subject, it would be useful to carry out further studies assessing the impact of the development of the technologies, the use of social networks, smartphones, and their excessive use may have in sensitive periods of brain development, such as adolescence, consequences that are not yet fully measurable, whereas internet addiction nomophobia may affect a younger age group. Also, it could be interesting to investigate the internet addiction in pre- and during COVID-19 pandemic period to better assess this new disorder, particularly among students. Thank you for your attention.